All right, we're back. Sorry about missing last week, guys, but you know, these things happen sometimes. But I was telling my student Glenn yesterday, I don't think I'm gonna, if I can avoid it, I won't take another week off from doing an I Love Jeet Kune broadcast or a Jeet Kune dialogue. So you guys are gonna be stuck with me forever for the foreseeable future. All right, so welcome everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Rebel, and welcome to, where are we? The I Love Jeet Kune broadcast number 52. Hey Nick, hey Glenn. Sifu Nick, you and I have to talk about that OBS thing. I did do some research on it, and there are some questions I have about it for you. Hey, Johnny Williams, who else is here? Daryl White, hey Daryl. Victor, good to see you. Before I forget, because you know I'm not real good on the social thing, let me just wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving right now. So, because I'll forget to do that at the end. Hey, Double L. I think Mark Stewart is here. So if you guys would go ahead and yeah, we'll do that, Sifu Nick. So go ahead as you're logging in, say where you're logging in from. You know the whole what do you call it? Not analytics, whatever it is, right? Okay, so quick little talk here, because I know you guys get your Thanksgiving duties to attend to, right? So broadcast number 22, and this is the one about Jeet Kune, about taking Jeet Kune or taking martial arts as opposed to becoming Jeet Kune. So, origin story, back in the old days, I picked up what I would call a superior attitude when it came to the practice of my martial art, right? The practice of Jeet Kune. And that was because I considered it to be head and shoulders over, above the practice of any other martial art method. And I still do consider it somewhat superior, but probably not in the same way that I did when I was a lot younger, right? So here's my example, and I think I may have spoken about this before. So back in the old days when I ran my school and I was out in public a lot more often, you know how sometimes there's a place where you're like maybe a regular client or customer. And so at this place where there are regulars, people get to know a little bit about the different characters. So naturally, this is back in the 90s, I think. So naturally, I was known as the karate guy, because if you're a martial artist, you're the karate guy. Today, they would call you the MMA guy, right? So there was an incident where this guy started up a conversation, and you know, he was telling me that he used to take Aikido back in the day, right? And I, you know, being Mr. Congeniality that I am, right, I go, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, you know, that's great, and whatever. But in my mind, right, something snapped. And what I was really thinking was, okay, so why the hell are you talking to me? Because you used to take Aikido. My last martial art workout was yesterday, because this was breakfast time, right? And my next martial art workout is going to be later today. So in my mind, right, because I'm not as rude as I want to be, I was thinking, you don't really qualify to talk to me, right? Anyhow, but I didn't say that to him out loud as far as I remember. But I do know that subsequent to that, I would use that expression or use that phrase to people. So when somebody would say, I used to take such and such martial art, then I would say to them, oh, well, what did you do with it? Where did you put it? And they'd go, what do you mean? I go, well, you said you used to take it, so I'm just wondering where you put it. All right, and the point that I was making was that people, you know, I guess they were trying to be, what do you call it? You know, find some commonality, you know, some point of common interest or what have you. But I never took to that idea of relating to somebody who used to be in martial art versus me, somebody who has never stopped training in martial art. And I know that you guys understand what I mean, even if I'm not doing a really good job of explaining it, right? And I didn't apply this approach all the time, because when I ran my school, you know, if it was a prospective student, so if we're doing the new student intake procedure, and somebody's given me their martial art history, if they say to me, well, I used to take such and such, I don't come down on them real hard and what have you, because I'm a little bit of a realist, and I know that. So when I ran my school, of course, I was heavily invested in the business of Jeet Kune. And so I knew since back then, and I know still today, that it's a very small percentage of people around the world, and even in the United States, that actually train in martial art. And then the even smaller percentage of people who train in Jeet Kune, which I still find somewhat ironic considering the degree of Bruce Lee's popularity. But that'll be a topic for another broadcast at some other point, right? And I'm also enough of a realist to not expect people to be interested, even if they're interested in something in which I am interested, to be interested in it necessarily to the same degree in which I am, right? But like I said earlier, I never really identified with this idea of, oh, I used to take martial arts, right? Because for me, when I started out, some of you guys know this, when I started out, I trained almost for 10 years on my own down in Barbados, with you know, from the Tao of Jeet Kune, Bruce Lee's fighting methods, from books and magazines and the movies to a certain degree. But it was once I traveled out to California and met Sifu Inosano, and I started training with Sifu Dan, and then I started traveling back and forth to LA to hang out and train. That's when things started to make more sense, and that's kind of when the transformation started. And I came to realize that Jeet Kune, unlike other martial art approaches, Jeet Kune came with its own built-in philosophy. And I think that's because of the fact that Cedro Bruce was a philosophy student. And so it's like, in other martial art approaches, to my experience, they had to borrow the philosophy from somewhere else, maybe, right, and inject it into their martial art. But Jeet Kune, as a martial art method, had its built-in philosophy. And so, for me, the idea of becoming Jeet Kune is a way of saying it's when just about everything in your life, is looked at, is observed through the JKD prism, when the very essence of your being is developed because of your study of Jeet Kune, right? So let me give you an example. It's kind of a silly example, but some of you guys might get it. Last night in class, we were talking about monetizing your passion, right? And so the conversation rolled around to the fact that there is an art to business. If you're going to be successful at business, it's not automatic, right? There's an art to being successful at business. And so I can recall when I started studying marketing with Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer, one of the first things that I learned from them, and this is almost literal, right, was the difference between traditional advertising / marketing, which is called image advertising, versus their kind of marketing, which is called direct response. And so, can I tell you this? Their use of the words traditional and direct had a literal impact on me, because immediately I heard that in Jeet Kune terms. Since the Jeet Kune approach is kind of antithetical to the traditional approach to martial art, and then the fact that the Jeet Kune structure is based on being simple, direct, and effective. So when Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer used the words traditional and direct, I was like, whoa, this is a JKD discussion that we're having, right? And so that's what, if to a certain extent, that's what I mean about becoming or being Jeet Kune Do. I was looking at their approach to business through the Jeet Kune Do prism. I don't know if that makes sense, right? You guys go ahead and comment if that makes sense or not, because maybe I'm just spouting off here and going nowhere with this, right? Anyhow, here's another little part of that whole business thing, right? One of the most important aspects of business is there's this thing known as copywriting, right? Not copyright, R-I-G-H-T, but copyright, W-R-I-T-E. And so copywriting is the art of persuasion. It is learning, and people study this for years, right? For years to get real good at it, to be able to learn to use the exact words in their copy to produce the best results from their marketing efforts. So to me, that is analogous to us in JKD spending years to develop ourselves to the highest level, to the level where you produce the best results, right, with the minimum of exertion, or what Bruce Lee might call the minimum of expression, right? And to me, that sounded exactly like Jeet Kune Do, right? So you guys, like I said, go ahead and feel free to comment on any of this, right? So let me close this up with this. So it's from page 200 of the old school Tao Jeet Kune Do, where it says Jeet Kune Do ultimately is not a matter of petty technique, but of highly developed personal spirituality and physique. Jeet Kune Do is not a matter of technology, but of spiritual insight and training. And then on page 11 of old school Jeet Kune Do kickboxing, right, the essence is to be in command of your body, to make it do what you want it to do when you want it to be done. So I'll paraphrase that and say that there's an aspect of it where JKD is also about being in command of your mind and making your mind do what you want done when you want it done. Because as if you guys have hung out with me for a while, you know that I'm always thinking in terms of Jeet Kune Do, the art, and Jeet Kune Do, the philosophy, right? So there's the physical aspect, and then there's the philosophical aspect, right? So my suggestion, if you want like a primer on this, find the 1967 article, is it? Liberate Yourself from Classical Karate, and just reread that, because I know all you guys have read it at least once before, right? And you can find that, I think it's on Chris Kent's website, somewhere on his website, so look for it there. I think also it's on BruceLeeFoundation.com, the official Bruce Lee website. And having mentioned Chris Kent, I can tell you that I don't have the time confirmed, but it will probably be 3 p.m. Eastern time. But my Siheng, Chris Kent, will be my dialogue partner on Friday for episode number 35 of the Jeet Kune Do dialogues. Right? So I think that's it for today. So feel free, like, comment, share. Sign up for notifications for when we go live on the Facebook and on the YouTube. There are two channels on the YouTube. One for the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. The other one for the Jeet Kune Do dialogues. At ilovejeetkunዶ.com, you can still get volume 1 of the Quick Kill series. Be on the lookout for I'm calling it Rebel Retail, right? That's going to be the JKD Rebel store. Friday is the Jeet Kune Do dialogues, and I think that's it. So once again, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. I'll see some of you on Friday, and then we'll be back here next week for another edition of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. Everybody have a good time. Take care. Talk to you soon.